Welcome back. Let's review trading activities at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, where as we count down to the sound of the closing gong, well, it's been a bloody week so far at the market as investors continue to take caution due to a number of factors. Temple Shajo is live at the trading floor to bring us details from the Stock Exchange. Temple, take us through today's market proceedings so far.
Thank you, BC. The market hasn't changed from the trend we've been seeing since Monday. Today is Friday, and it's the last trading session for this week. The market has been tanking all along, but we've really seen a little bit of improvement. However, given the kind of circumstance we have right now, the market is still likely to close in the negative territory. Maybe not as much as we had it yesterday, given what we have trending now in the market. But let's look at the activity level of the market. We've got an almost 300% change in volume and transaction value of about 80% right now in the market. You have name insurance from the insurance sector as the most actively traded stock right now, with over 130 million units of shares, accounting for 47% of the total volume of what has been traded so far in the market. And if you look at the losers chart, for those companies that are now driving these losses that we've seen so far, sectorally, it is the banking sector as well as the consumer goods. The consumer goods sector is down 0.05%, but the banking sector is down 0.17%, and it means that a lot of investors have continued to shed weight on these stocks. In terms of the losers, you've got mutual benefits down by almost 10%. Cornerstone from the insurance sector as well, right now it's down by 8.33% as of the last few minutes that we checked. Look at the gainers chart where you have Dangote Flour, Fidelity Bank, and of course Stanbic IBTC. You've got reactions from the investment community now. That stock is up by 0.05%. This reaction we're talking about has to do with the interim dividend payout of 1 naira that is proposed by Stanbic IBTC, given the almost 18% growth that the company had in its gross earnings for the first half of the year. You recall that the company had a huge boost in terms of investment and corporate banking. It actually, all of that contributed more to the interest income of the bank. And in terms of net interest income, as the H1 figure says, we had that down by 2.11%, but that is as a result of the rise that we've seen in interest expenses. But given other metrics of the bank, these are all positive, enough to help the bank to now get the kind of results that was posted yesterday. And this is why investors are reacting to this positive trend on Stanbic IBTC, which has now risen from 50 naira that it closed at yesterday to 50.05 kobo as at the last few minutes that we checked. That means it is up by 0.05% as investors continue to take position on the stock. Basically, back to you right now.
Let's look forward to a better trading week at the stock exchange next week, despite the two-day public holiday. But thank you, Temple, for those updates. Now, the Nigerian government is determined to complete major railway projects across the country to bridge infrastructure gaps. An executive of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Mr. Yang James Zhang, at a forum explains that he made some revelations about ongoing railway projects.
You talked about corruption being the reason why we're not where we are. While I wouldn't argue that there's been corruption everywhere in Nigeria, the case with railway might not be specifically that of the corruption itself, but sustaining the tempo. Each time there's an attempt to develop the railway sector, you will see that the attempt is short-lived. Abacha started it, it was short-lived. There is no sustenance. There is no continuity. And if there's no continuity, you leave a gap. And because you leave a gap, everything dies down again. There will be a rise and then a fall. So I think the issue with the railway is more of that sustenance. Like I said, highlighted in the presentation, we have the 25-year strategic objective goal, which consists of 3 phases. The first phase is the system transition. The second phase was the system modernization. And then the third phase was the system stabilization. Yes, we started the system transition, which sought to, again, a restructuring of the organization, bringing in new new skilled labor from within and without. And then there was again a break. And within that break, the whole thing that was started fell. Now, Abacha came in, invested into it. Yes, certain things were done wrong. Done wrong in the sense that when you want to bring in equipment, rolling stock, you need to consult with the people directly involved. And when you don't do that the right way, you end up bringing the wrong things for the right thing. This is one of the issues. And then when that started, it worked for a little while, but because they were not exactly what was required, yes, some of them were, some were not. It's not time for me to play the blame game, but to say it exactly the way it is. Of course, also mind the fact that I'm a civil servant. The issue was certain things went wrong somewhere, you know, and then we did not get it right. Then there was a break. And after that break, we now saw a rise again during the immediate past regime. We saw the attempt now to bring up the Abuja-Kaduna. There was sustenance to a certain level, and then this government came. Did not stop. If this government had stopped, I'm sure that by now, the Abuja-Kaduna we're talking about wouldn't have been a reality. Assuming this government have decided to ply the route others had been going, that wouldn't be there. But we see now a deliberate attempt to sustain that tempo. We're going beyond Abuja-Kaduna. Like I said today, we're looking at Warri-Itakpe, which hopefully will commence by end of August or first week of September. Assuming there's no sustenance of that tempo, we won't be talking about that. So I think the issue is not exactly that of corruption. Well, corruption is a part, I wouldn't run away from that, but the main issue is sustenance. If we're able to sustain the tempo, adequate funding, then we'll go ahead. Now we talked about what is killing the railways. You mentioned the road. Yes, I remember some times ago we had a meeting with Moman. What were we talking about? We had brought in 25 tank wagons, which we were hoping to use to transport fuel or AGO, as a case, PMS or AGO, by rail. And then at the meeting, what did we hear? One of the questions was, we have invested so much money to bring in tankers. And you want us to take all these tankers and then go use your rail tankers? So this is the problem. By the time we start to think Nigeria and not me.
And that's where we wrap up today's program. Thank you for watching IMBC Adebayo.